Okay. Can you hear us, Eric? Can you hear us, Eric? Yeah, he can hear us, so we're good to go. Okay, just give me one more minute before posting.
Thank you for your help, Rick. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Maybe. Okay, 30.
What's that?
30-second Q&A.
30, we're going to do it quick, 30 seconds. Okay.
Okay, hello everyone.
Hello. How is your day going? We are in a very hot, humid Indiana today, so we may sweat a lot. Okay, let's get started. Is this question from the last time, the first one?
Yes, I think we already answered this question. So let's start with Gustavo's question.
Okay. Gustavo's asking, am I hallucinating? Or as the years go by, does your physical body start needing food? Yeah, that's been my experience, and I hear that from a lot of people as they get older. They need less and less food, and less sleep sometimes. Um,
More and more sleep.
or more and
Okay.
more depends on the person. But yeah, it's you made a good example about processed foods. Yeah, if you had a diet of instant mashed potatoes and chips and a lot of processed food, and you stopped that and went to real healthy food, you would notice a change in you. But after doing that, would you ever go back to the junk food? No, you would want the real food. And it's that way in the spiritual teaching. Sometimes you come across something, and it sounds pretty good, but it doesn't have a real lot of depth to it. So it's not really satisfying you. But when you find the real teaching, wow, you just connect, and it's just like you can feel the absorption of the information and the vitality by practicing it. Some you read it and it's sort of a head thought, but you don't really feel it like eating a really nourishing meal. So yeah, um, and that's the labor of Hercules in the boar, isn't it? To capture the boar so it doesn't become gluttonous or, or lazy or any of those kind of things.
Yeah, nice. Hello, Gustavo. Uh, yes, that's right. You're right. Actually, when consciousness and self-consciousness and self-awareness developed, we can more be harmonized with the archangels in our bodies, archangels of element, and of course, archangel or guardian archangels, angels in our bodies. which means just think about the untouched nature. You know, we start to listen their vibration, their small whispers, or their small kind of symptoms. So we become sensitive to receive their vibration. In the nature, same thing happen in our bodies. So naturally, like we tend to go into nature and feel good because nature. Oh,
Don't worry, just
is
keep
it
talking.
on?
Yeah.
Okay. Like we feel good in the nature when we eat the natural food. We feel good because it's for them and for the archangels in our bodies. It's easy to digest, so we can more harmonize and co-work with their work. That's why we tend to eat simple food, natural food, rather than processed food. And also, all researchers observe, thanks to the precious teaching and the practices, um, our by doing, by learning the teaching and the practices, uh, we uh, can stabilize and shape our psychonoetical body stable. We don't need to take a lot of food. We learn how to breathe to take aesthetic vitality. Taking a food means taking the aesthetic vitality after digestion. It's converted into the aesthetic vitality. So once we can start to absorb aesthetic vitality by breathing or reducing the number of the unnecessary elementals after learning how to do it, then we don't need to take a lot of energy by eating food. So it's a natural symptom. Hmm.
That live without eating around the world.
Breatharian.
Breathe air in. Yes. Uh, okay, this is from Sarah. I was wondering what you do to quiet your mind effectively before you start a meditation. I find it sometimes challenging to stay focused without getting pulled away by my own. Do you have any recommendations for enhancing protection from negativity or losing your energy to other people? I came across the grounding exercise that asks us to visualize grow roots from your feet. Well, let me answer the first before we go into the second
Yeah,
question.
yeah, good idea.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing, right? I mean, you can't meditate if you can't keep your mind quiet. So really, everybody runs after these meditations, but they won't be very effective until you can master that. That's the first step. And we've done this one many times. Everybody close your eyes and imagine a person you really, really love so much. Bring their face in front of your mind and hold it for 30 seconds. It's not so easy, is it? Because these pre-existing feelings stored in our subconsciousness start to rise and they interfere right when we're trying to do some focused work. Um, so there's a number of things you can do. One thing that a lot of people don't realize about Daslo's teaching, he's always talking about the power of the subconsciousness. So he's always, in this case, that's one of the little techniques you could do. You could program your subconscious. You could write it in red letters so it imprints on the subconsciousness a little stronger. But just insist that when you start to meditate, you will not be distracted by feelings coming from your subconscious. That's enough. Program your mind not to do that. So it's really doing is you're putting a guard at the door. You're building a wall between your conscious mind and subconscious mind that you can erect at any time to prevent this from happening. Now, another more powerful practice is we have this 2 week exercise. And in the first week, you just sit down for, 10 minutes, 15 minutes a day, close your eyes, and don't do anything. Just sit there. And what you're going to notice is all your elementals, the most activated ones right now, will start to come up. You'll think about, oh, I got to wash the dog and wax the car. And you start thinking of those things and it blocks you. So this exercise, again, you use the subconscious programming. I won't be disturbed when I want to meditate. The first week, you just sit there and watch these thoughts come and go. Don't chase after them. Don't energize them by thinking them. Don't push them away. Just observe.
Mhm.
And then, second week is, then you can silence them. If they start to rise, you silence. And you don't struggle with it and you don't fight against it. You just, it's sort of like you set your intentions and you just hold it. And you don't follow all the thoughts that come up or you don't get engaged with them. And at the end of that time, you'll have not only a pretty good understanding of what your current elementals, the most activated current elementals are, but you'll also gain the ability to silence them, silence those thoughts and feelings so that you can have a good meditation. You want to talk?
Yes, he already explained what I was going to say. Hello, Salah. My answer is, as he mentioned, the word observation. It's all about the observation. Observation is the one of the five golden keys in our teaching system. Actually, observation, to observe everything, is the nature of God. So before we start to work on any kind of meditation, we need to not master, but get the feeling of observing everything. Like he explained, at the beginning, we observe all kind of elementals which is coming up on piece of our subconsciousness. We observe everything, whatever thought, whatever emotion from other people or from ourselves. But we are standing at the position to observe all of them. This is the key. And once we can observe everything, step is whatever comes, we neglect. We don't focus on it. We see completely our thoughts and emotion elementals between our eyes to observe it. So having and establishing this position, viewpoint to observe everything is the most fundamental and important first step. Uh, I believe, how many years we are doing a Patreon? 3 years?
3 years in November.
Please go back to the archive of the practice. I already made maybe first practice or second practice as the key for the successful meditation, and the intro meditation as the intro meditation one and step two. Maybe step one is to learn and practice how to observe everything, exactly what he explained and we explain now as the practice. So you can go back and practice in our archive.
Second question is, do you have any recommendations for enhancing your protection from negativity or losing your energy to other people? I came across a grounding exercise that asks us to visualize to grow roots from your feet to the center of the earth. And imagine this energy is running up your body, as well as energy from the cosmos to your head. Would you say it's safe to do this exercise? Or is it safer and more effective to practice the shield of light? Yes, it's safer and more effective to practice the shield of light, because that's where the negativities come from. We live in a sea of all around us, good, bad. Every once in a while, you might be walking and you just have this thought, it's like, wow, I don't think that. Where did that thought come from? Well, you're in a sea and you can pick up some of these thoughts. Shield of light, the shell of light, is a protection all around your body, a big egg shaped, but it's upside down, shaped oval of white light, about 3 foot beyond your body. and that'll protect you from the any elementals, especially negative elementals, in your general environment. But also remember, the reason these things affect us, they can't touch a pure person. So if they have to touch on a little piece of your negativity or a little something where you vibrate a little close to that vibration, and then you can pick it up. Otherwise, you won't. Child will never pick up if they're around a pickpocket. They would never know that or anything like that. So now, is that a safe exercise to do? In our system, we would say no. And why? Because you're drawing from the earth, right? You're opening up basically without knowing it, you're opening the chakras above your feet and you're drawing that energy into you. Now, we have another practice to protect ourselves from really negative elementals, and it's the 5-pointed star. And we put a 5-pointed star around our body. And the 2 points that go down to enclose the feet, it kind of traps these negative elementals coming up from the lower vibrations, and the earth, the lower vibration. It's not a bad thing. It's just that some of the negative elementals, they go to the lower vibrating substance, and then we can pick them up. So doing exercise where you're pulling something from earth into your feet, I know the Tai Chi and some people do that, and I understand it, and you can get some power there, but there's also some negative elementals that you might pick up. So we would say that's not necessary. Just do the shield of light around you. Do the shield of light around you, and you'll be surprised because you can sometimes like clashing of two pans if it's negative. If it's positive, there's this beautiful ringing sound to it, and it really lifts you up. But the other one is like a discordant sound. That's the shield blocking the elemental. But we never want to send it back. Some Hindus say, oh, you send it back to the person. So somebody sends you a bad one. Somebody asked Asklos that once. He says, if you throw a rock at a tree, does the tree shoot fire back at you? No. So he suggested instead of trying to reflect that thing back and harm the person who sent it to you, if they were sending you a harmful elemental, he said, we don't do that. We just put a protective shield around that element with, again, the subconscious programming that any negative elemental that's harmful or disruptive to me that strikes that aura be dissolved and fall down. It doesn't go back to the owner. In fact, what we do is we send a blessing back to the owner. We program it so that blessing goes back to the person who's sending you negativity, because love and blessings is the only way to stop somebody trying to harm you that way.
Yeah, good comment. I have a little bit different opinion with Daniel about this grounding exercise which you mentioned. Regarding to the grounding, I think this exercise is good to think that connected to the center of this planet and the center of the cosmos. Regarding the grounding ourselves, it's very good exercise. It depends on how we put the meaning into on the earth, the earth element. But the first of all, at first, I think this exercise is good. So please keep doing it. But as he mentions, very good two exercises. One is exhale over light. We call it light shield, and also 5-pointed star. Those two exercises really works to protect ourselves. The light shield, it's good for mainly physical protection. And the 5-pointed star, it works mainly for psychonoetical protection, the other dimension. That's why before we sleep or we try to exercise OBE, out of bodies protection, and you can do both. Even though one protection exercise works well, but if you do both, it's going to work better. And one advice is when you create this protecting shield exercise, please cleanse yourself and create it with faith and confidence and strength. and faith that we are definitely protected. Please don't create with fear. I still feel fear. With this fear, don't create it. Otherwise, if we do that, uh, the fear is inside of your protection. So please be mindful and work on it as your kindness, strength. Please create it. Mighty shield to protect us.
The grounding exercise I was responding to is not the one where you go out and barefoot and walk in the grass. That's a good one. That's a good one. But when you're trying to draw things up from the earth, its advice and the teachings,
She says
careful.
connecting with the core of this planet and the core of the universe. So it's not probably like Earth things.
No, I like the one where you walk with your bare feet, but you don't do any specific practice or anything, or
It's
hug a tree
comfortable.
because there's electrons being exchanged with your body, and it makes us feel better.
Mhm.
Okay, Thomas is asking, when Joshua is speaking to the Samaritan woman at the well, he says a lot that I don't understand. For example, what does it mean when he says, salvation is of the Jews? The full verse is, ye worship, ye know not what. Means you don't know what you're worshiping. This is people who believe in God, but they don't really understand what that is, even a little bit. But they do believe in a big benevolent entity. There's nothing wrong with that. But anything you do consciously, more consciously, has more benefit to you. Eating consciously, breathing consciously, living consciously. And so it's the same here. It's we should know what we are worshiping. And by worshiping, Dasco said that word worshiping back then they had a different kind of meaning for it. And he said it's approaching. Worshiping God means approaching God. Okay. So now back to the question. You worship not what you know not. We worship what we know. For salvation of the Jews. This is just a little kind of, I think, a simple comment. You know, it's like some people don't know what they're worshiping, some people do. We know. And salvation is of the Jews means the doctrine of salvation came from the Jewish tradition before Christ. Christ wasn't the one that brought that. So he's just pointing out the doctrine of salvation is of the Jews, which means is from the Jews.
Mm.
And then he goes on to say, true worshipers, the Spirit, the absolute Spirit, and the absolute truth. So the idea is that if you're going to approach, again, worship means approach. If you're going to approach God, you must come in the spirit of truth. Spirit. God is Ascalus explained it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Hello, Thomas. Uh, the first part of your question for salvation is of the Jews. Mm. Uh, as we know, Joshua is a Essene, so he's a Greco-Israelite. So it's not Jew. He was not Jew. And then just for this part, the word worship yet later, but the word for salvation is of the Jews. It can be the meaning of what he said in the Bible, can be what that explains now as a doctrine. But I would like to refrain at making a comment on this because some part of the Bible is not as it was. So, and I couldn't find any Thesaurus comment on this word for the salvation is of the Jews. It can be what he explains, but I myself would like to refrain at making a comment on this. But the other part, uh, true worshippers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth. This is a very important and meaningful word. Um, And it says in teaching, I would like to explain as best as I can about God. And we think about God, and we try to recognize God as through our intelligence. But intelligence, to think about God, is still in the world of duality. So when we think of God, which means still duality. So we try to understand God through our intelligence, but still it's separated. But when we try to really understand God, to try to understand God, or to truly worship God, we have to become God. We have to express God. So God is fire and spirit. You know, God is truth. So as Daniel mentioned a little bit, as truth, as light, then we can understand and we can truly worship God. This is what it says. So we human beings can understand God by attuning, and later at one moment becoming with God, being one with God, we can understand God. In a sense, we can understand to the extent which we become God. I hope you can understand what I mean. At the beginning, we have to study. What Christ said is, we don't need a big, gorgeous altar. We don't need to go far away to seek the God. In us. And please don't separate God with yourself. Our personality is separated, but eventually we understand, we unfold our divinity in us, which means we need to become God. We have to realize we are God, who I am, what I am. And the more we understand, unfold that part, we can.
Yeah, that quote, salvation is of the Jews, is from the King James Version, an older version. The new versions, they take out the word of and replace it with the word from, which is indicating it's their doctrine.
Uh, yeah, Thomas, I want to add one thing. This chapter, this Samaritan woman chapter, the important word is Christ called himself the light of the world, as well as the water of life. So in this chapter, the lady, Christ asked the lady to have the water from the well, right? But what he mentioned about the water is the living water, which means etheric vitality, mind vitality. He tried to explain it to her what mind etheric vitality in the world of three-dimensional world.
There's a deeper backstory to this whole Samaritan woman thing, too, and that's that biblical Palestine, Israel. At that time, there was the Jews, they were the biggest group. The second biggest group were they were maybe a third of the population. And they believed in the one God, but they didn't believe in the revengeful God of the Jews, stoning people and burning people and all that. And they even had the old Jews had human sacrifice. So they threw all that violent, revengeful God stuff out, but believed in the one true Spirit God, which made them enemies. Well, not they were thought of the Jews as their brothers, but the Jews thought of them as enemies. And the Jews wanted to kill them like they were doing the Samaritans and kick them out. But there were too many of them. They felt they needed those Essenes to help them overthrow the Romans and get them out. So they would stone the Essenes and accuse them of violating Mosaic law all the time. But they couldn't really just come down on. But the Samaritans was a much smaller population back then, and the Jews thought they were so bad that if a Samaritan shadow fell on you, you were cursed. So you can see how the mindset is here. So Christ is now, I mean, he's trying to, from a Samaritan, no Jew would ever do that. You know, that's why the lady says, what, you're asking me for water? And it's the same story about the Good Samaritan. Here you have a Jew fall and get hurt on the side of the road, all the other Jews passing by, but a good Samaritan comes by, takes him in, helps him and feeds him and gets him back to good health. This was a tremendous message to the Jews because they hated the Samaritans. So there's all this backstory going on at the time while this is happening. That's kind of interesting.
The parable of a good Samaritan is in the book of the parable of Christ. So please check it out. It's a beautiful story and the teaching relating to love.
Okay, the next one is from GM. A question on healing childhood wounds. You know, they used to call, when Dascalos was a young kid, they used to call him GM. And when he painted, one time he painted this beautiful painting when he was really a young kid and took it into his school. And the art teacher was like, oh, this guy is, and he says, from now on, sign GM, which means master. So you'll find some of the old paintings of Dascalos with GM, him signing it GM. You didn't know that? A question on healing wounds. Many of the most intense destructive emotional patterns seem to originate from childhood abuse and neglect. I sense there are individual and intergenerational karmic aspects to all this. Does the teaching offer guidance on this working in this area? Oh, that's Gabrielle. Okay. Yeah, it does. We do have, you know, personal karma, family karma, and that family karma goes down generations. It says in the Bible, the sins of the father are visited on the sons for 3 to 4 generations, something like that. So unless somebody stops a destructive elemental pattern, destructive karmic pattern in the family, it can be transmitted through somebody to the next generation. So this is a very important area. And yes, there's a lot of wounds there. But who got wounded? The child. Well, if you look back and you think about that child, this is just one way to kind of loosen it up a little bit, free it up a little bit. If you look back at that, you as that child or whoever that child was that was neglected or abused, and you look back on it from your adult perspective, what part of that is still you? Your body. 7 years, you get a whole new body. Everything replaced, all the cells in your body replaced. So it's clearly not the body. So what is it? Well, personality, right? The little innocent personality. Yes, definitely the personality. But that personality of the child is not the same personality you are today. So what's really going on with these wounds? What has been? I'm just putting that out as a meditation for you, and it's an introspection question. What part of you is still wounded? Well, it's the memories. I'll tell you what it is. The memories. It's the childhood memories. And by memories, I mean elements that have been stored in your subconsciousness. And maybe later on in life, they start to come out. They start to come out and they cause problems, but they do that so you'll pay attention and start to try to resolve this. Most of it is, it's better just not to get too into that, because I've seen so many people get trapped trying to fix past wounds. You can't fix anything from the past. All you can fix is what's in the now. You can't fix anything in the future. You have to fix it in the now. So if you're that way, why did they tell me that? Could they have been suffering and having, you know, something bad happening too? Of course. But that transmission can come down through 3 or 4 generations in a family. So it's up to you. It's your responsibility, and you take it on for the future generations. Really, not to heal from that. So it's down. That you stop energizing the elementals of the wound. And I know that's easier said than done, but that is the way. We have to bring that down. Stop giving it so much value, so much attention, so much of our energy, because the more we think about it, the more we struggle with it, the more we feed it, and the more it tortures us. So the teachings, so clear on any of this stuff. You have to get rid of the thing. But first is, you try to convince yourself to become uninterested in it. you don't energize it. And then you replace it with something better, like a meditation or something. But that's some of the things Daskos has taught about this issue.
Yeah, we are just working on the meditation, uh, on the elementals. So please work on that. Next meditation coming uploading soon is create more and more positive elementals. We learned how to release the negative elementals last time, and this time it's going to be it's going to be the practice, increasing, creating more and more positive elementals. So that's important. But first of all, hello, Gail. My answer is yes. Uh, Many trauma or issues which we are facing is relating to the experience in childhood or past lives. In other words, we can say this way: what we are facing, any kind of issue right now, is relating to the past unsolved elementals or whatever happened. Ah, that's why we are given right now. So in this teaching system, uh, we don't suggest, recommend you to go back, as Daniel said. The more we focus on, wounds or trauma things, it's gonna energize it. The ones we focus beyond again. That's why we practice introspection, right? By doing daily introspection with easy things to whatever happened in our daily life. Oh, I should have done that this way. I should have said this way. I should have solved that way. So please try to work on the easy things for you to change something a little negative into the positive from the perspective of I-ness, real self, as best as you can by observing. We mentioned about observation, observing everything, whatever your wounded heart, your wounded feeling or thought, whatever, please observe. Try to practice, observe it. And then the more we work on this exercise through introspection, whatever we see in front of us, we can watch it. Okay, this is how it is happening right now. Okay, then what should I do? So we can detach what is going on in front of us with calm mind. This is a divine state. This is what we want to achieve more and more. So please practice this. And once you can express more divine nature, the observation, then if you really want to look at your past or past life trauma or childhood trauma, you maybe, if you want, you can try to observe it, but please don't do it without having any kind of method. It's just like Daniel said, stimulating, energizing what you don't want to see. So please establish the viewpoint of observation as I-ness more and more. Get yourself more stable and strong, expressing the divine nature. Then, okay, interesting thing is the more we get like this, the more we express divine nature, we won't be influenced by past things. Even if we see it, okay, then what I can do? What I can do next? We can see, observe everything, very calm state. Now it's a chance to work on it. But as the present day personality, without knowing the state of the observation, it's going to be very dangerous. And the condition will be worse. It's something like, I don't know very much about the diving. When we do the diving in deep ocean, we put the certain gears, right? Otherwise, we can't go, deeper, in the ocean with our own body. And if we poke, that's why I said that the ocean is our subconscious. If we go that deep without having any gear, proper gear, and poke, the hole of the poison snake in the past, we be bit by it again. We're gonna be hurt again. So have a gear first. Get yourself ready to see it. But in this teaching system, even if we get this state, we naturally, if we get this gear enough, we can naturally view all kind of naturally it happens. Can see, oh, what is happening right now is relating that moment in my child. Everything is kind of be solved, like the root of the plant. Then we don't need to go back. We just need to work on current issue faithfully, step by step. Then automatically past trauma is solved in the childhood or in the past lives. So this is the word that Christ said, plow just in front of you in the field and move forward without look back. So let's go this way, following Christ's word.
And something else you want to avoid is you want to avoid interpreting this childhood wound, earlier in life childhood wounds, or earlier today wound somebody gives you. You really want to avoid putting yourself as a victim. Oh, I was so wounded by what they said. They hurt me. And what do? People do that. They go around and they start telling everybody, this person hurt me. So it's almost like this. If someone threw a knife and stuck you with a knife, right? That's the wound. But it's like we pulled out and said, can you believe me? This person hurt me. And you keep stabbing yourself every time you repeat it. Somebody else or even in your. So stop the victimhood. Vasco's always said the sense of feeling wounded or the sense of feeling offended are the two worst devils a human being ever have to face. So it's so easy to get caught up. Oh, I was such a small child. I was wounded. Don't. Do like Aki said, the observation, but with detachment, of course.
And we have a right and we are entitled to use mind etheric vitality to create a better future, express better self. We can do it.
So the next question is from Nabulo. I did answer your email, but I didn't hear back. I don't know if you got my email or not. Okay. I think he's saying he had two questions from last time. Did we miss his questions last time?
No, he has.
Okay.
Number right. This is
in addition to my two questions last time. Did we miss not answering it?
Have time.
So he's asking in lesson 12 on energy. This is a lesson in the Patreon channel on the energy series, lesson 12. It was mentioned that using symbols intended for development improperly can inadvertently cause more, and how can we avoid them? Well, one thing we have to talk about is the symbols we use versus the symbols other systems use. Our systems are based on archetypal laws, causes, and principles. Like a three-dimensional studied by man. These are archetypal symbols in the divine plan. Like, for example, the five. The five start with that's the symbol of man. His body with his head and his two legs and arms make the five-pointed star. But there are symbols used in other systems. Reiki is one of them. Others that men have created the symbols. So without really knowing the symbol and what it's evoking, it could be dangerous to use that symbol. But more specifically, for example, just with the sacred symbols um, we use color. We send colored lights to help people. But if you send them the wrong light, you can hurt them. You can definitely hurt them. For example, let's say there's a person that's very, very angry, and you want to give them the strength to not be angry. So you visualize an uta. If you looked at our symbols, you know what the uta is. That's the ancient Egyptian one as well. And if you visualize that and send it to him in a red color, you'll drive that guy mad. You'll drive him mad. That's what never send red color or vibrational color like that, strong one like that, like red, to a person who gets angry. You'll just cause them to get angry. And I guess that's something similar to the red flag in front of a bull. There's something about that vibration that stimulates aggression in certain people. So that's one of the common mistakes is you're sending light or symbols to people that you don't really understand what one you should do. That's why we have to study it. You study very deeply in the teachings to see which ones are advisable for which condition. And that's how you avoid them, by knowing which ones are right for which situation. Aki?
No? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, Hello, Nabulu. My answer is we have to be careful to handle the symbols, power, and the meaning behind it, which made that symbol. So once we use or meditate on that symbol, it means that we try to connect with that power and meaning and that symbol, right? Of course, it all depends on our ability, how much we can attune with it. But if we full attune with the symbol, the tremendous power comes through that symbol. For example, circle. Circle. It means eternity. The simple, very simple symbol, but it means eternity. So it depends on the development of our consciousness and self-awareness, self-consciousness. The level of the understanding will be changed. And if circle has the dot in the middle, central point, if we meditate on it, and if we really fully attune with it, with that symbol, the power from the symbol is enormous. So, like Daniel said, our symbols, which we work on, as the from divine. So we can focus on it. But some symbol is made by human being or kind of elemental. For example, this is the mouth. When I use this mouth and do something, and it will work. And when I say, oh, okay, it's a little bit poor example, but if I use this works for something, blah, blah, blah. If I tell, and if I have power to tell someone, and someone, okay, I'll try to use this to work on something, and it worked. If it spread, then this mouth gonna have the power as the elemental, group elemental, to work on that. And this group elemental really works to manifest that something. That's why human-made God that is, made by the humans elemental, really works certain extent, to the certain extent. So when we handle the symbol, I don't want to mention which symbol is what, but when we handle the symbol, please research and know study that symbol, what is this, then you can connect with it, you can attune with it. Upside down, for example, upside down five-pointed star, we should not connect with it. We have to bring it upward. So please be mindful when you handle the symbols.
I'll tell you another one. On Cyprus, there was an English lady, and she was very into Dascalos' teachings. And in her meditations, while she was at Dascalos, she started seeing geometric symbols and shapes coming into her mind's eye. And she saw this one as three-sided pyramid. And so she was kind of excited, and I'm seeing all these things. And she went and engaged in that symbol. And of course, three-sided pyramid, great symbol. Symbol of absolute power, love, and wisdom. So she was seeing this. So she got kind of excited. So she goes to Dascalos. Dascale, I'm seeing these visions. I just had this three-sided pyramid, golden pyramid. And she was kind of proud. She thought he was going to think that was good. And you know what he said? Be careful if you go. We have to know the way out. We aren't to play with these things. We are to be trained in using these things properly. Then they're going to have the beneficial results they are intended to. This is from Jonas. Was Mother Mary born via virgin birth? Yeah, Dascalos states it. The Catholic Bible states it definitely. So was Johanna, St. John. That doesn't show up in the Bible, but John the Baptist was, of course, too. Now, here's the million-dollar question. Did Dascalos believe that abortion, homosexuality, transgenderism, masturbation, pornography, non-marital sex, prostitution, or what he, we'll take it one by one. Abortion, he said, he went to the cause. He said, don't do sex irresponsibly, that it's going to put you in a position where you're going to want to have an abortion. So he was about being responsible with sex and not just doing it and, oh, now we got to abort new incoming soul. Okay, homosexuality. He said, I am the biggest opponent of homosexuality. So he said, nothing wrong with man loving man. Brotherly love is great. Just no need to make it sexual. That's what his comment was. Transgenderism, we didn't really talk about that at that time. That wasn't an issue like it is today. Now it's an agenda that's being pushed on society, in my opinion. And, I think it's funny. On the transgenderism, I hear the people say, well, genitalia does not determine gender. So, than God put me in, I think it's okay for them to change that. But it doesn't make sense to me that if gender doesn't determine, if your genitals don't determine your gender, then how does moving them affirm gender? It makes no sense, really. But anyway, masturbation, he didn't really speak about that, but I can say something from his teachings that gives the information. There's something really powerful going on between the chakras. For example, man hugging a woman, these chakras in men and women have a different polarity, but when they hug, they reverse. So in other words, they balance. You're getting balanced by that hug. But if you're just doing sex by yourself, you don't get that balancing from the opposite sex. That's part of the teaching on the chakras and why men and women have these different, some of them, like women's throat chakras, are very electric, but men's are magnetic. So they all have a different kind of thing, and they have a different use, and they do a different purpose. They serve a different purpose. Non-marital sex. He said for him, sex was only for procreation, but he didn't feel like we had to follow that. at this point in our development. Really call them sins. He didn't like the word sin, so he didn't like to give it, cast the word sin on anything because he said it was too heavy. And really, sin back in the original thing just meant to miss the mark. Now it's after 2,000 years of priests telling you what it means, it's something heavy and scary, right? But in the beginning, it was just, you missed the mark. Okay, try again. Try to hit the mark. Okay, but no, he doesn't need priests to resolve these things because we created them. We really responsibility to dissolve them ourselves, and we can through the methods that we give in the teachings, which is the becoming disinterested and not energizing, like Aki was explaining very well just a minute ago. So we can do that. The priest, if they know how they can do it, they say, okay, your sins are dissolved. But what really counts is, did the person believe that? It's not the priest's words that does it. It's, yeah, that's probably well covers it.
How about sharing the story? The scholar saw that a couple was making love, and it was beautiful.
When he was a boy, Dasklos was walking along the beach one day and he accidentally came across a couple making love. And he said the colors, the radiations off their hair were so beautiful, completely beautiful. Of course, that's like, maybe you call that normal sex. There's some abnormal sex where it's not going to be that way. But in his case, he saw two people really loving each other, making love on the beach. And it was beautiful.
Yeah, depends on the quality.
It depends
psychoanalytical quality and all levels quality. We can see it as colors and vibration. Anyway, your first question, Mother Mary born via virgin birth. Yes, as explained, yes, Saint Hannah gave birth to three daughters. First daughter is called Elizabeth by Immaculate Conception. And Elizabeth gave birth of the John the Baptist. And then the next, the second daughter is Miriam Shalom. Miriam Shalom gave birth of our father Yohanan, Saint John Evangelist, and the
virgin birth.
Of course, yes, by Immaculate Conception. And the third daughter is called Maria, Mother Mary, and she gave birth of Joshua Emmanuel Christ, of course, by Immaculate Conception. So all of them, starting from Saint Hannah, they all are Immaculate Conception. And the next question, the scholars comment about the scholars comment. Daniel explained most of it. So I would like to answer through this teaching system about sexuality. I feel myself, if we study this teaching very carefully, we will know, oh, what's going on, the polarity of man and woman. Man and woman, gender is the expression of polarity, like plus and minus, whatever we can see in this dimension, other dimensions. So once human being, we can study the truth as the real education system, we might be able to have another choice if we know about gender or what's going on our genders things. Nowadays, many genders are going on, many things are going on, which is beyond understanding. But I think it's because of we don't have the source to know the truth in the school, in the society. We can learn what's going on really at the level of the soul. At the level of the soul, even at the level of the permanent personality, we have both gender in it. And once I was born as a lady, woman, but my male part, nature of my male is unmanifested. manifested and hidden in me. But I came down on this planet in this dimension to learn something as a lady. That's why I was with Holy Spirit and Logos, my gender. And I was born as a lady. But I have male. I don't need to look around at male. And if I'm not satisfied with a lady, but I don't need to change my gender because I have it or learn about it. So I really wish myself this teaching will be prepared as the truth, which we study. Many people, I wish many people will have opportunity to study what's going on, really. Then we might be able to change the direction of what's going on right now in the society. That's my answer. And sorry. And the scholar says, Daniel a little bit already, to create a child, give a birth of a baby. It's a co-creation with the archangels. This is a holy work. So according to our teaching, to create the another life, is once we make love and give birth of the baby and the children, it's a holy work, co-working with the archangels. It's a divine work. This is how it says in the teaching.
Next one's from Michael. Since I was very young, I had physical tics, possibly Tourette's syndrome. Have gotten better with age, but I still have them to some degree. Trying to resist them like ignoring an itch, where sooner or later you have to scratch. And due to the urge, things like blinking hard or hunching my shoulders, I notice that when I'm distracted or focused on something else, the external tics completely disappear. And they usually are worse when trying to be still and meditate. So I have to try to be still without focusing on being still. Like trying not to think about ice cream will make you think about ice cream. So you have to do it without trying. My question is, since these tics become strong based on attention, could they be some form of very primitive, almost subconscious elemental? Absolutely. No, not so much primitive, but just a subconscious elemental. And do you have the tips for how someone would deal with it during meditation? Well, you just described it. And this is our teaching about getting rid of things that bother us. We want to take our attention off of them. It's like the thing what you just described about how if you're doing something else, your tics completely go away, right? Did you ever see those people that are stutterers, really bad stutterers? They can't talk at all, but sing, they somehow sing a song. So they put their attention on singing the words rather than saying the words, and it changes it from it, gets them away from the tic. So in some ways, in all ways, it's about your attention. Now you say you put your attention on meditation, and the tics come in to bother you. You need to fix your attention on the meditation more strongly. And again, like I said earlier, program the subconsciousness. All right, I start to meditate, no tics or what else you call them? Tics will bother me. Nothing will come to disturb my meditation. But it really is just about putting your mind on something else. If you're going to forget about all the tics and you're going to be trying to save yourself. So it's really the attention is the key, and you've discovered it yourself.
Okay. Hello, Michael. Yes. The original cause of your symptom might be the different cause rather than the elemental, another causes. But urge to do that is definitely it's caused by your strong elemental in your subconsciousness. So my advice is when you work on meditation, my advice is a little bit opposite with Daniel. That um, please don't fight with. It's important to encode, suggest, auto suggest your subconsciousness. Oh, I don't. But please don't fight with it. Rather than that, mm, please embrace it. Be good friend with it, and please let your symptom in you, and without focusing on it. Please give the permission that the one is in you, and never fight with it, and focus on your meditation. You understand what I mean? When you start the meditation, it might come. It's okay. The key word of today is observation. Observe it and enjoy it's coming. Oh, now I'm having a symptom. Okay. But I am watching, observing this symptom calmly. Please create and enjoy to create this state without fighting with it. Never ever fight with, oh, I have to focus on it. So this one should not happen. Should not happen. So I have to do something on it to try to suppress on it, try to avoid it. By doing so, the subconsciousness or subconscious is listening, and it's just like what you say, the ice cream. Many people, oh, I will be on diet, so I won't eat the cake, anymore from tomorrow. But our subconscious is listening the word cake. It's going to be very difficult to stop eating a cake. Rather than that, please embrace and and create an observation state when it comes. Okay, say hello, but I don't need you right now, in a calm state. When you repeat this process, eventually that symptom for sure will be stopped. And you yourself, like what he said about the singing, you're gonna be busy with your own meditation stuff. Many things are gonna happen, the experience is gonna happen. So once you finish it, oh, it's done. So please aim this direction. This is my advice.
Next one's from Mario. Um, which meditation should we practice daily to achieve enlightenment?
Maybe Wayne.
Oh, I missed Wayne's, yeah. Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
Sorry, Wayne.
It's okay.
When we are creating beneficial elementals such as healing intention or the symbol of life within our etheric double, drawing elementals back to ourselves, and we should let them do their work. But can repetition be helpful? Program our subconsciousness with positive thoughts, for sure. For example, is one day to re-energize an elemental too often? Is there a minimum period to keep re-energizing an elemental for it in self-sustaining within our subconsciousness? Well, the moment you create an elemental, it's the self-sustained in subconsciousness. How active it is depends on how much conscious attention you give that elemental residing in your subconscious. Now let's go back to the beginning. When a self-realized person visualizes a healing for someone or any of this stuff, no need to re-energize it. But for someone who's not self-realizing, it can be good to go back and re-energize it. Now, you're totally right. This is why most people don't get to their desires. They just think in their desire, keep thinking their desire, keep thinking their desire. And you keep pulling it back from doing its work. I just had an experience of this the other day, actually. About 2.5 years ago, I made a proposal to somebody overseas about something. And it didn't go. The project didn't go. And I totally really forgot about it. And then the other day I got a call, guys are back now. So I was really, at that time, I was trying not to hold it tight, but I probably was holding it too tight. So we have to release these things to give them power. Now, repetition can be helpful and it is helpful. And we have many exercises, and it takes 14, maybe 15 days of repetition daily at the same time in the same location, the same energizing elemental, to energize the same elemental. And you can do it for like 14 days or 15 days. I like to do it for 15 days, just one extra day. And it builds it. It builds it. It finally gets enough power that it just like can go and do its thing. Especially if you build it up, like I said. And the one that I'm talking about particularly that Aeschylus gave us was the guardian angel. If you want to create a guardian angel elemental for somebody, it takes 2 weeks to set it up, energize it enough repetitively, same time, same place every day. But you don't do it too long. It's like, 15 minutes. You don't sit there and do it for an hour and think about it for an hour. You just do it strongly and then forget about it. And the key there is to forget about it. Put your mind on whatever else you're doing the next day comes, the same time, do it again. I'd say that if you're to answer the question, minimum period of time to do one of these, a real strong one, in 2 weeks or 15 days.
About the healing elemental? About she's asking about healing elemental.
Healing intention or the symbol. It's all elemental, so yeah.
Okay. Okay. Hello, Wayne. About the healing. About healing, my advice is it's matter the quality of the elemental healing elemental is more important rather than how long or how much we should do. We should create the elemental. Once we start on that, create a healing elemental for someone or for ourselves. Once we can see the elemental, whatever, once we can visualize it clearly, and once we know, we put our command, we put our intention, will in the elemental, and once we can feel it deeply, then it's time to release. But before you release the elemental, healing elemental, we need to tell that elemental, okay, go now. But once it reach there, when you need more energy, we have to command to the elemental. When you need more energy, absorb the energy from the environment where you go. But when you need more energy from me, come back. And encoding, commanding our will in it, loading enough energy, visualizing clearly the element, it's time to release. And once we release it, this is the most important. Please forget about it completely. Please don't repeat again. Oh, did I really make it well? Or is it working well or not? Don't think about it. Please focus on other healing requests or other things and forget about it completely. The reason why I say so is the elemental, whatever elemental we create, the elemental is living, so it needs enough time to do their work. If it's about to go, but sticking to our own energetic field. But if we keep thinking about it, try to go, but it comes back, leave our place, and nothing happen over there. So we need to cut. We need to not cut. Even if you try to cut, it's connected. So my word is not good. Not cut, but forget about it. Just defocus on it and let it have enough time to work on it. This is the advance of the healing elemental and the symbol of life. This is a kind of daily. Once we create symbol of life, archangels in our bodies will take care of it. So no worry about it. So step by step, we information and step by step we create more more better symbol of life in our bodies. But I suggest you, I recommend you to work on it daily and just like he said, the same place, same time, if it's possible, and create same symbol of life, adding the information on it. This is my advice.
It also has to do with uh, let's say the size or how big of a thing you're trying to do. If you're trying to heal somebody of a cough, it doesn't take as much energy. But the symbol of life takes a lot of energy to build it properly in our etheric double, like Aki just mentioned. In fact, osmosis takes daily practice for a minimum of 5 years. So because this is a big advice. Next question is from Mario. Which meditation should we practice daily to achieve enlightenment? Well, it's a lot more than just meditation to achieve enlightenment. And what is enlightenment? Has anybody ever defined that for you? And enlightenment is a clear breakthrough into the nature of reality. So we have all kinds of enlightenment, but the ultimate enlightenment is the clear breakthrough into the reality of what you really are. This is self-realization. That's the ultimate enlightenment. And it's a lot more than meditation. That's what said meditation is too low. There's other things like attunement and one-ment that are involved in this process to reach that goal of self-realization. And primarily, we have to have experiences. It's not just about reading teachings and sitting down and meditating. We have life experiences, and how we respond to those life experiences accelerates our movement up the path toward self-realization, or de-accelerates it, de-evolution. It is, because if we go the wrong way, we're going to, add more distance, more time to the goal. But if we answer and respond to our experiences in the right way, in the highway, then we move very quickly toward enlightenment. We need it all. We need to do the meditation to practice mastering the mind, mastering the emotions, mastering the body even. Because the first thing when you start meditation, your body complains like, well, this is uncomfortable. This is too long. Then your emotions start by, after you fix that, then your emotions come and say, well, I don't feel good, or I'd rather do this or something, and then the mind comes in. So we have to master all three aspects of the human being, the body, mind, and emotions. So there's a lot more to it than just meditations, but the ones that in our system that we do every day, beginner or advanced researcher truth, does the three suns, pink light in and around the heart center, and the sky blue light in and around the solar plexus. Those are mandatory. We need those every day just to keep balance and to keep those three bodies in good health. Because the material body has its own health, the emotions have their health, and the mental side has its health. What happens in people is they overdo one of them. It's like the story of the bodybuilder. He's so big, he builds his body up, but he hasn't developed his emotions. Oh, the battery's gone. Let's just close this one off here. I'll finish.
Let's go quickly.
Okay, I'll finish it. So we tried that exercise. It should be done every day, and it helps keep the balance. Is there a difference to the frequencies of the practices that makes a difference? Sure. You're doing the golden light, it has a certain vibration that is beneficial for the head center. They all are beneficial for their centers because of the colors. Color equals right? Different vibrations make difference, so they're very important. And the next question is to determine which body we are dealing.
Can I answer the
Yeah,
question first? Okay, your first question. Yes, I recommend you to do the three suns meditation, which Daniel mentioned, and also the introspection. This is very, very helpful and a basic exercise. Um, and whatever we learn, whatever we practice, without practice, teaching means nothing. So please express what you learned through what you practice in your meditation. Express it in the society or the people around you. This is going to be the real meditation for the enlightenment. And when you work on any exercise, please use the golden keys like observation, concentration, and visualization. Using those three, please work on introspection and work on meditation altogether. And which to practice once or twice. Yes, I recommend you to do the kind of complicated advanced exercises. We have many advanced exercises. Start to try, occasionally, and little by little accumulate for you to get used to work on these advanced, complicated exercises. But the daily introspection and three sounds is really, really helpful. This is my answer. And yes, everything is frequencies. Okay, next question. Do we still have battery?
I plugged it in, yeah.
Okay.
Last part of the question is how to determine which body we are dealing with, the etheric double of the noetical, psychical, and the etheric double of the material body. Do we use colors? Um, I'll answer this in two ways. Once you practice and you get used to using the etheric vitality, it's just a concept of teaching, but you know it because you're using it. You don't need anybody to talk to you about it because you are in direct contact with it. Then it's going to be pretty easy to tell. But let's just say it this way. If you're really angry, you're using the etheric vitality, you're burning up like a bonfire, the etheric vitality of the psychical body. If you get caught in your head and you're all worried and worried and worried, you turn thoughts over and over your head, you're using the etheric counterpart of the noetical body because the thoughts come from the noetical. And the same thing physically. If you're physically lifting stuff and exercising your exercise, that's why people feel so good after they exercise because they really get their etheric going and they charge it and they breathe and just flooding their body with etheric while they're doing their repetitions of exercises. So just pay attention to what you are doing and you'll know which part of you you're doing it with. Maybe say it like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When you are feeling something, when you're physically doing something, you're doing a very double the psychical body, but as the colored, uh, the the perfect healthy. Please remember the perfect healthy color of the etheric double is all white for three bodies. But uh, when we work on more and more, we can see the etheric double psychical body like very pure white, like silvery white, shining. And when we focus more on the noetical body, the etheric double, then we can see it like a canary yellow. That's the difference you mentioned about the color. So I'm telling you, as the color difference, subtle difference between the etheric double of the psychical body and the etheric double of the noetical body. So etheric double of the psychical body has a kind of very pure, bright white, and the etheric double of the noetical body is kind of pure canary yellow light. But the more the vibration is getting higher and higher, raised up, then towards the noetic level, then the the color will be golden. So as the frequencies and the color, we can tell which body we are working on. Two.
Okay, guys.
Yeah, maybe I was about to talk about all of the color of the
Go ahead.
older things, but maybe I think it's okay. Yeah, we will talk about the
Yeah, we're
older things.
getting kind of long
Yes.
now. So. Okay, guys. Many blessings. I hope you have a great week ahead of you.
Yes.
Keep your eyes open, and your hearts open, and your minds open.
Have beautiful days.
Blessings.
Love.